In a galaxy ruled by an ancient and strict council, all species live under harsh control. But every year, young beings gather to hear the true story behind the one day that changed everything, the day humans finally broke free from oppression. This story follows Elder Zahir as he reveals the secrets of humanity's long struggle for freedom, a tale filled with sacrifice, hope, and unimaginable power. The tone is heavy and emotional, full of suspense and awe, showing how one species' fierce desire for liberty shook the entire galaxy. The stakes are immense. This story explains why peace was bought with great cost, why the galaxy remembers the day humans snapped, and how freedom can come only after a terrible fight. It explores the weight of history, the pain of loss, and the price of true independence. The night was deep and quiet. The sky stretched wide, full of stars that burned cold and far away. Below, on the endless field of soft purple grass, 50 young beings sat in a circle, their orange eyes glowing like small fires in the dark. They were Avens, a race of feathered creatures with black wings and sharp minds. No fires burned. No machines hummed. Only the distant stars shone, and the soft rustle of grass in the cool breeze. At the center stood Elder Zahir. He was old and wise, his feathers faded to gray, but his eyes still held sharp light. Tonight, he was not just a teacher. He was a keeper of secrets. Every year, he told the young Avens a story they had never heard before. A story about a day when the galaxy changed forever. A day when the humans, a species once small and divided, finally snapped. Zahir looked around at the silent faces. The young ones had camped here themselves, learning to live with the night and the cold. They had no wings spread to fly or devices to light their way. This was a place of truth, a place where stories lived in the stars above. He raised a wing, and the circle grew still. "What do you think today means?" he asked quietly. A strange silence followed, broken only by the soft call of a distant night hunter. The Avens blinked, uncertain. They had always called this day the Galactic Harvest Festival, a time for songs and thanks for the galaxy's gifts. But tonight, Zahir's words felt different. Serious. Heavy. "You have danced and sung for this day," he said slowly, "but have you ever wondered why the adults look distant? Why their songs sound more like mourning than celebration? Why this day is the only holiday all species in the galaxy share? From the cold methane moons to the burning core worlds, why does everyone mark this same day?" A few heads nodded quietly, eyes searching the dark. Then Zahir's voice lowered. "Because this day is not about harvest or thanks. It is the day humanity finally snapped. The day they broke free and ended the old Galactic Council." Gasps flew through the circle. The sound of a tent collapsing nearby was sharp in the silence. "This day," Zahir continued, "is the day when 20 billion lives were lost. The day the throne world of the Hassal, the rulers for 50,000 years, was destroyed. The day the stars themselves cried." The young Avens' feathers ruffled nervously. A brave voice from the circle spoke. "Why are we here at night? Why no fire, no wings? Why the open sky?" Zahir spread his wings wide, his voice firm. "Look above you. Can you see the constellation of the Aven warrior? Her spear points to the galactic center, where the last great battle happened. Can you find the Veil Nebula? Behind its ghostly clouds, the first united human fleet gathered in secret." He paused, letting their eyes trace the stars. "And here," he said, pointing at a dark patch where no light shone, "was the throne world. The seat of Hassal power. Gone in moments." The weight of those words pressed down like the cold night air. The young Avens pulled their wings closer, their orange eyes wide and silent. Zahir's voice grew steady. "For thousands of years, the Galactic Council ruled without question. Every species was a subject, not a member. No one chose to join. They took control by force and fear. The Hassal kept the gate network, great star gates that made faster-than-light travel possible, and they guarded the secret jealously. He looked at the faces before him. When humans were first found, they were alone, fragile, divided. They had never known others. The council demanded Earth unite under one ruler in 26 hours. One day. The humans nearly destroyed themselves trying. Murmurs of shock filled the air. How could they do that? One whispered. Because humans were different, Zahir said softly. Where we see many colors and wings as beauty, they saw many voices as strength. The council wanted order. Humans wanted freedom. For hours, Zahir told how humans fought wars within themselves, how they built ships to flee, how they started new colonies on distant worlds. How the council sent Earth's fleets to destroy those colonies, how those battles were only a mask for a secret plan. The humans shared their technology through broken ships and silent messages, he said. They grew stronger, smarter, and more determined with every defeat. The council thought they controlled the war. They did not. The stars shifted slowly above. The purple grass whispered in the wind. Zahir's voice lowered. After centuries of quiet war, humans built the impossible, the hypercore, a power from the fabric of space itself. They built weapons that could turn stars into bombs. They built a fleet of Nova-class ships. And then, one day, they chose their target. He pointed again to the dark patch in the sky. The throne world of the Hassal. The night grew colder. The Prometheus appeared without warning. It fired once. A chunk of antimatter struck the star at near light speed. The star exploded. The throne world was gone. The young Avans sat frozen. The stars blinked silently. Zahir's voice was barely a whisper. The old Galactic Council fell in less than a week. Their gate network died. The humans shared their secrets. The cage was broken. He closed his wings gently. The galaxy remembers this day because it changed everything. Because freedom cost blood and fire and pain. Because the species called humans looked at the stars and said, enough. The first light of dawn touched the horizon. The lesson was only beginning. The first light of dawn slowly brushed the horizon, soft and pale. The circle of young Avans remained silent, their orange eyes still heavy with the weight of what they had heard. Elder Zahir sat quietly for a moment, watching the faint colors chase away the night's shadows. Then, with calm resolve, he began again. The galaxy you know is built on the ashes of that day. But the road to freedom was long and hard, Zahir said. When the humans first met the council, they were not a united force. They were broken, fighting among themselves. The council's demand for Earth to unite in 26 hours almost tore their world apart. He paused, letting the silence deepen. Imagine what it means for a species to be forced to change everything in one day. To erase centuries of history, culture, and conflict. To build a government overnight just to satisfy strangers who see you as nothing more than property. A young Avan's voice broke the quiet. How did they survive such pressure? Zahir smiled sadly. By hope and by courage. By a child's voice on a primitive network calling for unity. If we kill each other now, the message said, we let them win. That voice stopped a war before it began. The students listened, wide-eyed. But even after Earth formed a government, the council's control tightened. Trade, communication, travel, all forbidden or controlled by permits that took lifetimes to process. Every move was watched, every message censored. Zahir's wings twitched, as if feeling the weight of unseen chains. Humans were trapped like animals in a cage, but their spirit refused to die. They built generational ships, vast vessels designed to travel between stars at sublight speeds, where crews lived and died over centuries. They sent these ships to found colonies, places to be free from the council's grip. A student whispered, generational ships, so long without sunlight. So lonely. Yes, Zahir nodded. They sacrificed everything. Their children and grandchildren were born in metal corridors, never knowing Earth's blue sky. Most ships failed, lost to space's dangers, but a few survived. He looked across the circle, feeling the mix of awe and sadness. The council pressured Earth to destroy those colonies. They wanted the humans to kill their own freedom. Earth pretended to obey, negotiating for weapons and ships to fight their own people. The grass rustled as feathers twitched uneasily. But the war was a lie. The battles were a theater. Both sides shared technology and knowledge in secret. Every defeat made the colonies stronger. A voice from the back asked, why would humans do that? Fight their own kind. Because they were united by a single hope, Zahir answered. Freedom. They knew the cost, but they chose it anyway. The stars, now fading with dawn, seemed to listen. For centuries, humans lived this secret war. Their fleets grew better, their weapons sharper, their minds brighter. The council thought they controlled the war, but it was the opposite. Humans were preparing. Waiting. The student's eyes narrowed in understanding. Then, in the year 445, everything changed. Humans built the hypercore, a power source that could tap into space itself. A weapon unlike any the galaxy had seen. Zahir's voice lowered, heavy with respect. They hid their work beneath Earth's oceans, far from prying eyes. The colonies built the relativistic coil gun, a weapon firing projectiles near the speed of light. And they created a giant particle accelerator around their sun, producing tons of antimatter. A whisper escaped, they built a star killer. Yes, said Zahir. They built the pieces of a terrible puzzle in secret, communicating only through broken messages hidden in battle debris. The circle held its breath. In the year 451, the fighting stopped. Humans stopped hiding. Earth's fleet landed on a colony world to find peace, not war. The war ended because they were all human. All wanting freedom. A student's feathers fluttered nervously. How can centuries of war end in a day? Zahir's eyes were steady. Because it was never true war. It was a shared sacrifice. Every soldier and colonist knew their pain bought freedom for their children. The grass whispered again as the first rays warmed the earth. They built the Nova-class ship, Prometheus, named for a myth about stealing fire from the gods. They gathered a fleet to strike the council's heart. He pointed to the dark patch of sky once more. The throne world of the Hassal. The home of their ancient rulers. Beautiful beyond words, with cities of crystal and glowing oceans. It was destroyed in less than a minute. The circle shivered. The weight of billions lost hung between them. Zahir's voice was a quiet storm. The Prometheus appeared above the throne world. Without warning. Without using the gates. It fired a chunk of antimatter near the speed of light into the star. The star exploded. The throne world vanished. The students were silent, eyes wide, wings tight. The council's network collapsed without the Hassal. The gates failed. The humans shared their secrets. The cage was broken. The dawn grew brighter. The lesson continued. From that day, humans offered peace. Gifts of knowledge, freedom to travel without permission. They wanted no empire. They wanted choice. A young female spoke softly. If they had such power, why didn't they rule the galaxy? Zahir's wings spread wide in answer. Because freedom is not power. It is choice. They fought to be free to live their own lives, not to control others. He stood slowly, his old eyes full of hope and sorrow. That is the price of freedom. That is the story you must remember. The story of the day humans finally snapped and changed the galaxy forever. The sun rose, washing the field in light. The young Avans looked to the sky, to the stars that told the truth. The sun rose higher, spilling warm light over the purple grass and the circle of young Avans. Elder Zahir rested his wings and looked at each young face. The weight of the story was heavy, but the lesson was not over. You have heard how humans fought, how they sacrificed, Zahir began. But now, I will tell you what happened after the Great Breaking. What came next for humanity and the galaxy. He paced slowly, claws tracing soft lines in the earth. The old council was gone. Their leaders destroyed, their gate network broken. Without the HFY to maintain it, the gates stopped working within a month. Travel between stars became nearly impossible for many species. Zahir's eyes grew distant. But humans had something new, the secret of hyperspace travel without gates. They shared this freely with the galaxy. For the first time, all species could move between worlds without waiting for permission. A ripple of surprise passed through the students. The galaxy was free. But freedom came with challenges. For centuries, the Council's rule had shaped everything: trade, communication, even knowledge. Without it, chaos followed. Old grudges resurfaced. New alliances formed. The galaxy was reborn, but not easily. A young Avans whispered, "Did all species want freedom?" Zahir nodded. Many did. But freedom is frightening. Some feared change. Others missed the order the council brought, harsh as it was. They worried about war. He looked to the sky, where the stars now brightened toward day. Humans surprised everyone. They had built terrible weapons. But once free, they laid them down. They became one of the most peaceful species in the galaxy. A student frowned. Why? After all they suffered, why not rule? Because ruling is not freedom, Zahir said firmly. Humans wanted the right to choose. To live their own lives. To trade, talk, and share without force. He walked slowly among them. The colonies grew into centers of innovation, free to create, to dream. The humans did not seek empire, but friendship. The wind stirred, carrying whispers of long-forgotten battles. But the story of the HFY is different, Zahir continued. They were powerful, proud, and cruel rulers for 50,000 years. After their world was destroyed, they vanished from history. A student asked, "Why do we not learn about the HFY?" Because remembering can be dangerous, Zahir said. Their name is not forbidden, but it is whispered less. The galaxy chooses to forget the cage, and remember the price of freedom. He looked deeply into their eyes. You must remember, for freedom is fragile. It must be guarded, cherished, and sometimes paid for in blood. The humans showed the galaxy the cost of oppression, and the power of choice. The young Avans shifted, their feathers catching the morning light. Tomorrow, you will take your places as adults in this free galaxy. You will make choices that shape your future. Zahir's voice softened. But never forget the price that bought your freedom. Never forget the day humanity snapped and said, "Enough." He paused, letting the words settle. Because we are free today only because they were willing to pay the cost. The first rays of the sun bathed the field in gold. The young Avans stood, stretching their wings, no longer children but ready to face the galaxy. Zahir gathered his feathers, his old eyes filled with quiet hope. The stars above still remember, and so must you. The morning air was cool but alive with the soft sounds of a waking world. The young Avans, now standing, stretched their wings and looked around the open field, the weight of Elder Zahir's story still settling in their minds. The past was no longer distant or safe, it was real, sharp as the cold wind brushing the grass. Zahir's gaze lingered on them, a mix of pride and sadness shining in his aged eyes. Now you know the truth about the old council, the humans, and a war that changed everything, he said. But a question remains, how did the galaxy change after the humans broke free? What became of the colonies? How did other species react? A voice from the circle asked softly, did the humans destroy all who opposed them? Zahir shook his head slowly. No. They destroyed the council's power, not the lives of those who lived under it. After the throne world fell, many systems surrendered peacefully, seeing that the old order was gone. Others fought bitterly and lost. But humanity's goal was never conquest. It was freedom. He folded his wings and paced again. The colonies thrived. Freed from the council's laws, they became centers of creativity and technology. They shared their knowledge openly, sparking a renaissance throughout the galaxy. One student whispered, "Did the council try to fight back?" For a time, Zahir admitted. Some remnants of the Has-Sal and their allies tried to regroup. But without their gate network, their reach was limited. The humans' new hyperspace travel made the old defenses useless. He paused, eyes sharp. Humanity's victory was not only in war, but in knowledge. They gave the galaxy the gift of freedom to explore, communicate, and trade without chains. A young female asked, "Are humans still dangerous?" Zahir smiled, a warm light in his gaze. Humans keep the knowledge of great power, yes. But they choose restraint. Their greatest weapon, the Nova-class ships, were mostly decommissioned. Only one remains, patrolling to remind all that tyranny cannot return. The circle stirred, some feathers ruffling thoughtfully. But freedom is fragile, Zahir warned. The galaxy must guard against new cages, new tyrants. Remember, the old council fell not just because of force, but because it lost respect and trust. He stepped closer to the young Avans. You are the future. You will live in a galaxy shaped by the choice humanity made long ago. He lifted his wings as if embracing the sky. Peace is possible, but it requires courage and sacrifice. It requires that you never forget the price paid for freedom. A silence grew, deep and respectful. Do you understand why we gather here each year? Why this day is marked not with celebration, but remembrance? A chorus of voices answered, yes. Zahir nodded solemnly. Good. Then you carry the story forward. You carry the warning. Because the galaxy must never again face a day when any species snaps. The wind swept across the field, lifting feathers gently. The stars faded fully now, swallowed by daylight. Zahir's voice softened, almost a whisper. We are free because they chose to fight for it. We are free because they suffered and endured. And we are free because we remember. He turned toward the tents, his students following silently, shadows long behind them. The galaxy would never forget the day humanity finally snapped, a day that ended an empire and began a new hope. The sun climbed high, warming the field where Elder Zahir and the young Avans had gathered. Their journey through history was nearly complete, but the final truth awaited, the meaning of freedom, and the legacy humanity left behind. Zahir looked at the faces before him, their eyes bright with new understanding. You have heard how humans broke the chains, how they fought, how they rebuilt. But the last lesson is the hardest: freedom is not given. It is earned every day. He spread his wings wide, as if embracing the whole galaxy. Once the council fell, humans did not seize power to rule. Instead, they chose to be free, free to live as they wished, free to make mistakes, free to grow. A young Avans asked, but why? With such power, why not rule the galaxy? Zahir's gaze was steady. Because power without choice is slavery. The humans knew this. They had tasted chains for centuries and would not impose them on others. Their true strength was in restraint. He began walking slowly, voice low and steady. Earth returned to its many nations, its chaos and diversity. The colonies blossomed into worlds of invention and culture. The gate network, once a cage, was replaced by new technology shared openly. The young ones listened closely, the weight of centuries settling on their hearts. But the humans never forgot the cost, Zahir said. They kept the knowledge of the Nova-class ships, the stars turned into weapons. Only one remains, patrolling silently, a guardian against tyranny's return. A soft wind whispered through the grass. Remember this, Zahir said, his voice firm. Freedom demands vigilance. It demands courage to stand against oppression. It demands that when faced with impossible odds, we say, enough. Humanity did. They paid in blood and fire so that all might live free. The students nodded, understanding the heavy truth. Your world, your choices, your future, all rest on this lesson. The galaxy is vast, full of wonders and dangers. But it is also yours. Guard it well. The light grew stronger, the stars fading into memory. Zahir smiled gently. You are the next guardians of freedom. Carry this story, carry this truth. So no one ever forgets the day humanity finally snapped, and how that snapping set us all free. With that, he turned toward the settlement, his students following in quiet thought. The morning sun bathed them in golden light, a new day, a new beginning. The galaxy was free. And it would never be the same.